Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 19 is a little bit of a rehash, just recapping a few things, understanding about judgments and some capital punishments like murder. So, in here, they're talking about building what are called cities of refuge. So, if you, just to summarize this up, basically, if you are accused of murder, okay, you've killed somebody, if you believe you are innocent, you can flee to this city of refuge. This is a place where you can live without being punished. So you go to live in this city, you can stay there. This is a haven, basically a safe place for you to go that you can hang out until the judge goes through, they process the information, they determine whether you were really guilty or not. So, of course, and this is the whole point of this is to have a place so that, because the law was if you are accused of murder, if you're found guilty of murder, you are murdered, you're killed. They execute you, it's capital punishment. So, the problem is, though, is what if somebody mistakes you as the murderer, but you didn't actually kill him? You're innocent. That would be bad. That would be a misuse of justice. That would be a problem in the justice system to kill innocent people for crimes they never committed. So the idea of the city of refuge allows for the wheels of justice to move and before judgment is executed, so that we can make sure that this person is really guilty or not. So it's a way of having mercy, a way of putting mercy into the law, basically. So if you are accused of murder and they take you, they can take you, and if you are accused, whoever accuses you can kill you, basically. That's what they talk about in here. Let's see, where did that go? The phrase that they used, Avenger of Blood. Okay, so if you are found guilty, you go to the Avenger of Blood, who's ever like a family member of the person you killed or the person that witnessed you killing them can be that Avenger of Blood, and then they get to kill you. They execute you, basically. But there's a few challenges that happen here. Okay, so again, what if you are falsely accused? You need a way to escape judgment temporarily until the truth can be found, basically. And once the truth is found, then if you are found guilty, then they can come into that city of refuge and take you, and then execute you, basically. But until they find the truth of the matter, you can stay in these cities of refuge. So this is a mechanism inside their justice system to help prevent misuse of justice. Okay, very important point. Very important point. What if you accidentally kill somebody? What if you are working on your house, you drop something and it hits a person and it kills them? Okay, so again, that is you aren't the murderer. You didn't intend to kill them. But if you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here, so you flee to the city of refuge again until the truth can be found. Oh, it was an accident. Okay, if it's an accident, then you're not killed. That's not a capital punishment thing if it's an accident. So this again gives an opportunity for justice to be seen out as well as mercy for the person who's innocent, so that we can get to the truth of the matter. So this helps prevent rash decisions, basically, inside the justice system, which is really good. Now, of course, it does say in here, like in verse 11, if any man hate his neighbor and lie in wait for him and rise up against him and smite him mortally that he die and fleeth into one of these cities. So this is the question they bring up here is, what if you have somebody who really does kill their neighbor? They meant to kill that person, and then they flee to these cities of refuge. Okay, does this mean that we are basically allowing criminals to get away with crime? So let's read and look this. Then, verse 12, the elders of his city shall send and fetch him thence and deliver him into the hand of the Avenger of Blood that he may die. So again, if you did kill the person and so you flee, I mean, you think about it. If you killed somebody and you didn't flee, you're pretty much admitting guilt. I killed him, yes. Okay, you're still standing here, so we're gonna arrest you now, basically. So it makes sense that even a murderer would always flee because they want to be seen as being innocent. They want to get away with the crime. So again, they can flee, but as soon as it's determined they are guilty, then you can go take them out of this city, capture them, arrest them, and bring him over to the Avenger of Blood person who gets to execute him. Now, so that's dealing with like murder. So they have this way of of making sure that there's not a way to cause justice to be done unjustly. So verse 14, we're getting into some property rights here. Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land of thy Lord thy God, giveth thee to possess it. So this is an important point. You can't move your property boundaries, and you can't move somebody else's property boundaries, more importantly. That is their inheritance. They stay there. They staked it off. They stay there. You don't move them, basically. So this is getting into property rights. Now, verse 15 is an important one. If one witness shall not rise up against a man for an iniquity, for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth, and the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established. So important, again, if one person accuses you, that's not enough to cause a guilt onto somebody. So they have to have 2 or 3 witnesses, because one person could have a wrong opinion. Maybe it looks like to that person's perspective that it happened that way, but it really didn't happen that way. So our perceptions can be a problem in allowing justice to happen. So it has to be 2 or 3 people so that we get multiple perspectives, thus allowing us to prevent one perspective from being skewed and causing injustice to happen. So it has to be 2 or 3 witnesses. And this is very important, because this is also how we find truth, is looking for 2 or 3 witnesses, 2 or 3 ways and examples and ideas to prove that that truth is true. Now, verse 16 asks the question, what if it's a false witness? What if one of the witnesses or several of these witnesses lie? So if that is true, it says you go to the judges, verse 17, both men between whom the controversy is shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. And so shalt thou put away evil from among you. So this is a very important point for us to look at. Again, is if somebody accuses you falsely, let's say a couple people conspire to get their neighbor killed. They say, oh, this neighbor killed this guy. And the judge inquires diligently. They should take time to search, to look at evidence, to really get into this. They can't just haphazardly make these judgment calls. And they also need to be seeking the Lord, if you remember from the last chapter, to understand. Actually, I think it was 2 chapters ago, maybe, something like that. They need to seek guidance from the Holy Spirit as well to understand what's going on. And if they do that, then they can judge righteously. So if they find out these are false witnesses, the witnesses lied, then the witnesses will be punished in the same manner that they wanted this other person, the innocent victim, punished, basically, as well. So really interesting as we look at how some of these laws are applied to them and see some parallels to our day and age. In fact, I'd love to hear in the comments, what are your thoughts about even today's laws and how they still apply some of these principles today? All right, verse 21, thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Now, this isn't, in verse 21, he's talking about basically not to be interpreted literally. If you cut somebody's hand off, you lose your hand, basically. But we need to make sure that there is some way of equal compensation. So if that means giving up animals or paying them, monetary compensation or other things, that can be done as well. So it doesn't have to be a literal compensation, basically, in there. So that's just important to look at. And no retaliation either. You don't want to use justice as a way to retaliate against other people. That's not good. Okay, justice should be seeking the truth, not seeking an agenda. That's an important thing to always look at in the justice system. So let's jump to the next chapter to learn more about these principles and ideas that Moses is reminding the people of just before they're about to enter into the promised land.